In Stocking Up today, Todd Bubba Horwitz joins us now to take a look at several stocks, starting with Canadian Solar. Now, you're all of a sudden all about solar stocks. Why is that?
It's amazing. How could it happen? Good morning.
Good morning.
You know, I think really what I really look for is I look for what I think is value. And the solar stocks have been absolutely destroyed pretty much across the board. Canadian Solar, First Solar, Solar City. I picked Canadian Solar because they've got earnings coming out on Thursday. I like the way they look. I think they've already anticipated that the earnings are going to be rotten. And I have to believe that at some point in time, solar is going to be a real legitimate play in this country. Until big oil gets a little bit out of the way, it's a lot more challenging. But I think down here at the $12 and $13 level, it's a great value play, and I think you've got a great opportunity to create a good trade out.
So you want to get in early on this before everything breaks loose and all of a sudden we're all into alternative everything.
Well, right. I mean, again, I think we're still quite a ways away from the solar space, but again, when you look at the companies themselves and you look at the charts, you've seen that either they're going out of business or they found a level and we've just taken them down too far. Now, we just went through this experience with regular energy and oil. When oil was 26, it could never go up again. And of course, now we're back in the mid 40s and all the stocks have recovered. I think there's a replay here in the solar space. So I want to start with Canadian Solar.
Let's move over to the housing industry, which has been sturdy. So we had earnings.
Nice.
We had earnings come out from Home Depot, and they're still making a nice hefty profit. Now we have Lowe's coming out today. So what would you do with these stocks? Would you be a seller of these stocks at this point?
Home Depot was a seller, and not a major seller, just more of a neutral to the short side type of play. I think that they're a little bit rich in value. I mean, they've got great reasons to be up here. The stocks have performed very well, but at some point, there's going to be a little bit of profit taking. It's hard to get excited about shorting anything or doing anything in the middle of summer when volatility is so low. However, I think you're going to see more likely a pullback from these, although they had great numbers, because at some point, interest rates are going to rise. I mean, LIBOR, which is a lot of mortgages are based off of, has been going up almost on a daily basis. So even though quietly we don't hear that here, LIBOR, which is what most of your benchmarks, I think that will create some problem as well. I think we will see a little bit of pressure here.
So you're going to sell shares of Home Depot if you had it, or you'll do an option strategy that allows you to profit if the stock goes down, correct?
Right, yes. In fact, I had going into the Home Depot, I had a big credit. I did an iron butterfly that was weighted to the short side, which all that meant was I was short the at-the-money straddle, and I owned the wings, and I bought an extra put in case it really fell out of bed, and it did not. It's just kind of churning, which is fine because there's a big piece of credit inside there. And I would make the similar trade into Lowe's. In all of these spaces, again, I look at things from one perspective. We get too far up, I'm looking to be a seller. If we go too far down, I'm looking to be a buyer. As long as the fundamentals of the company are okay, I'll be a buyer. If they change, then I wouldn't be a buyer. But overall, if you look to play the rubber band, sell them at that stretch on the top and buy them at the stretch on the bottom, you'd probably be much better off.
Let's also talk about a retail name that's getting a lot of buzz. It's TJ Maxx. They're loving it. People are very big fans. I know I'm a fan. I believe this dress actually came from there. I love that store. Full disclosure.
They're a great store. I mean, they have a great business model. They've done some tremendous work. I think that their earnings did beat. I think there was a little bit of disappointment at their future expectations, which causes a little bit of selling in the stock. I think probably a little bit lower is probably a spot to step in. I mean, certainly a TJ Maxx is not one I'm looking to short. If the stocks can make new all-time highs in a retail environment like we have right now, which is not very good, okay, then what could it do if we ever actually get some real jobs and some real spending? I think it really goes higher. So I'd look for a dip. I'd like to see it sell off, 10% or something like that, and then I'd like to look to be a buyer. But up in here, I think it's fairly priced here based on what's going on.
Thanks for coming on the show.
My pleasure.
I love it.
Thank you.